Hey guys, it's Danny here with SMD Designs. How you guys doing? Tonight I'm going to be doing a helping lesson with Prusa, the slicer. I strictly use Prusa or Cura, one of the two. I told you guys in the video with the Tinkercad that I would do a Prusa slicer how-to video, so I'm gonna help you guys do that. Sorry, like my brain's like going slow, so sorry. So let me get up here to speed. I'm gonna click on this and get you guys into it so you can see what we're doing. You guys and gals, I'm sorry, I shouldn't just say guys. I try to be proper because I don't want to offend anyone. Okay, and sorry my computer screen's dirty. I see I got fingerprints all over it. Okay, so we are in, let me see if I can back this up to fit the whole screen. There we go. I just don't want to bump it. Get you guys so you can see the whole thing. Let's see here. There. Okay. So, right now I have the Creality Ender 3 on there. You have a bunch of different options to choose from on here. Okay, I'm going to pull down a file, first of all, so you guys can see how the file works. We're going to go ahead and load that keychain we did on Tinkercad. This keychain we made on Tinkercad, it just says Danny on it. It's a custom keychain. I showed you guys how to use Tinkercad to make custom art, custom jewelry, stuff like that. So here's the keychain. So with your left mouse button, you click your bed and you can move it around. So I'm going to go show you how to get the settings part where you start out in Creality, so that way you guys will know exactly what it looks like when you start out in the system. Okay, this is what will show up after you download the Prusa slicer app. And believe me, everybody talks about Cura and they talk about the other ones. But Shep and them guys also use this app too, this software. It's a very good software. If anybody says it's different, they're telling you a lie, because this is very good software. Okay, so this is for the original Prusa Mini, and then you got your Prusa MK3, Prusa MK3 original, and then just different nozzles. Okay. Then they got the Prusa MK 2.5S. So they got that stuff if you got a Prusa. And that's why I'm telling you, you can select your Prusa on there. Now, if you got say a Creality Ender 3, like I got on there, you go to other vendors. Now, right now, Prusa only has the, I guess it's Bibbo, Creality, and Lulzbot. So, if you want to do the Creality, you click on it, hit next, down at the bottom, left click next, and it'll pop up a picture of the Creality Ender 3. So what you want to do is you want to click next. You don't have to do that, just go ahead and click over one more. Actually, let me see something. Define a custom printer profile. No, you don't. I have that on my V2 in the house on my big computer, but you don't need that for just the Ender 3. Okay, so now it's bringing up filament types. It says the main filament types I'm using. So I click PLA, and because the majority of the time you're going to be using different besides Creality or Prusa polymers, I would choose generic. And then it pops up generic PLA. So then you want to hit next, that clicks, that checks for updates and it does it automatically, so you don't have to do it, and then it pops it up on your screen when you got to update. Next. Okay. Now this is important. When you're first starting out as a 3D printer, you're going to want to be in simple mode. That way the system kind of walks you through and tells you what to print with. Then as you get a little better, you can move on to advanced and then finally expert mode. So we're going to go down and hit finish. Now I'm in expert mode, but I'm going to take you over to simple mode, which what most people that's new to this program will be using. So this is basically what you'll see when you first come onto here. You'll see, oops, I didn't mean to put supports in. This definitely does not need support. Okay, but let me get that out of there. Okay, so now you see you got the size of your nozzle, what the very bottom layers will be. Well, the bottom, this will be your layer detail. So that'll be your filament, that'll be your printer if you're using the Ender 3. That is where you generate supports. This is your infill. I suggest when you're not doing a big job that you don't need a lot of infill on to lower it. It speeds up and it uses less filament, okay? So, I'm gonna say 15% on that, only because I don't want the infill line to show through. I'm gonna say no brim, we don't need a brim on it. Okay, this right here is your X, Y, and Z axis. It shows all of your position on the printer itself. So you can go here, click that, backspace it. So say you want to make that bigger, you can just say let's do 140 millimeters, and it will figure it for you. So now it took it up to 140 meters, it made it bigger. Okay, so, and it calculates that all for you. If you decide you don't want to do that size, you just click that refresh button, it takes it back to the size that you had it. Now, before we slice this, I want to show you some other things. This is called move. You can move your print around by pulling that one or that one on the bed, whichever way you want it. So say you've got a dip in your bed, you can pull it up or down to get out of the dip. And then next one, scale. You can scale up in here too, not only, just like you can in Tinkercad, you can scale up in here too. And make it that way. That way you don't have to just stick with the, by inputting it in manually. Okay, so you can play around with those and figure out what size you want your, because sometimes you might get a thing off Tinkercad, but you want it to be taller on your, so you can right click on your mouse, or I'm sorry, you can left click and you can pull out on your middle roll, your middle wheel on your mouse, and zoom out and then flip it so you can see how tall you want it. That way if you want to make it bigger. Okay, so this is a tool you will use a lot, especially if it's a print that, so this will flip it, and if you don't hit it exactly, it'll put it for you and it'll pull it out of under the bed. So see, it's standing up now. You can lay it on the bed perfectly to how you want it to lay. Okay, so that is called the rotate. And you can hit the R button, or I mean the R key, you can hit the S key, and you can hit the M key on your keypad too. This is place on its face. So you can click that and it'll flip the part over. It'll flip it in different angles and ways. Now this starts removing the parts. Okay, like that's the lower part, that's the upper part. If you move it, it'll take it out. it'll pull it off of there. That, if you see, if you get it like that, it'll, when you slice it, it'll remove that bottom part, and only part you'll have is Danny. So you really don't need to mess with that too much. That's not going to be in the majority of your prints unless you're just wanting to remove it and then add a new name or something. Okay, so we're at that part. Now, let's trash that one. Now, I'm going to bring a new Danny back on there to slice. Alright, let's see. Okay, so you got Danny back on there. Now, I am going to go over here to Advanced. Advanced is going to add a few more, not here, but it's going to add it up here in your settings. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go all the way over to the right to printer settings. Now, in printer settings, you have your general. You want to go to your general first. Now, all this will be set up for you by Prusa and Marlin for you don't have to adjust nothing unless you want to adjust it. Okay, so on your Ender 3, your max print height is going to be 250. You could probably put 300. No, 250. I'm sorry. It's 220 by 220 by 250, I think. So, yeah, 250 be your main height. Like on my CR10 V2, it's 400. So, but okay, so you got that. That's your max print height. That's your Z offsets. You can manually put that in to keep your Z offset like it. So if your bed's bumping your nozzle, you can mess with it there. I wouldn't suggest it. I would try to leave everything the way it is and manually do your bed level unless you got an automatic bed level or the BL touch. I wouldn't mess with it. Okay. So the next thing is your machine limits. It's all set up in here. Your limits and everything. Your maximum feed rate, I'm sorry. All your stuff. Sorry, I'm getting old and I'm blind. Your acceleration X. This is all your stuff and you shouldn't, like I said, you shouldn't have to mess with it. And if you need to, though, you can play around with it. If your feed rate's too, coming out or whatever, you can adjust it. Okay, you got your extruder. You got, here's your nozzle diameter, 0.4 or 0.4 is your nozzle diameter. All right, layer height limits, 0.1, okay? Then your max is 0.25. If you're in the Cura app, 2.5 is the normal size of your layer heights. The 12 is a more defined, refined, it's a lot nicer, so it's more detailed. Your retraction, like you want to have your layer retraction on and the wipe retraction because it'll string and it'll tell, like I said, it's all set up for you already. You don't really have to mess with this stuff unless you get a little bit better and you feel like there's stuff that you want to mess with in there. Okay, and then you get your notes and it says, do not remove the following keywords. These keywords are used in compatible printer condition. Okay, so it just says vendor creality. Okay, so then dependencies, that stuff you don't have to mess with. Okay, next you're going to be going to the filament. You got color, which that doesn't matter when you're setting up your slice. Your filament diameter, which is going to be 1.75 the majority of the time. Okay. Your extrusion multiplier is going to be 1. The density is 1.24. It's usually always that. And cost, once it slices, it gives you the cost ratio, and I'm going to show you that. Okay, and then this right here is kind of important on how you want your bed. Now, usually I run about, let's say 210 at 50 degrees Celsius on my bed. It's important that you stay about that range. And I just go ahead and do it on both. I mean, it's crazy not to just switch it on that one too. because you're always on your filament. If you read it, it's always, unless you're using ABS or PETG on, like I'm printing a Darth Vader like helmet right now, a small one, and the size, I'm using PLA plus, so it's a little bit stronger, but you just turn up I just turned up a little bit there, or you can do it on the printer and tune. Okay, so back to that. Now, if you make any changes, you got to go up here to the save generic PLA. Now you can change that to like Danny's printer or whatever you want to do, just so you know that it's the modified one. Click OK, and it saves it at that once you made a adjustment. And just like out on the front screen, if you want to change it back, it's 40. It'll do it for you. But okay, so you got that. Now, cooling. Keep fan always on is an important one. Enable auto cooling. Both of them should stay on. Alright. Filament type PLA. Now you can switch it around. It's important though that you got your PLA, make sure that PLA's in as if you're using PLA. You do not want to have ABS in if you're using PLA, because it'll heat up your nozzle and bed too high for PLA. It'll start burning the print. Okay, and you don't need to mess with the print speed override. It's already in there. First layer, volumetric, flow rate is maximized when printing external perimeters with a volumetric rate 1.51. It's fine. I wouldn't even mess with it. That's something that they take care of, so you don't need to mess with it. Now these are all overrides. I wouldn't mess with these either. It's just going to throw it off, because they set the printers for what they would use it at Pressure Factory. I'm sure they had a Creality 3 and tried it that way. Okay, so next is the important one. This is going to be your print settings. This is going to be the one you use, your layer heights. Okay, remember when I said 0.1 layer height? Okay, that is your real fine, nice layer height for that 0.4 nozzle. This is the first layer height. It's going to be a little bit thicker. The 2.5. They make it that first layer height thicker, so you'll have, it'll have a base to grow on. If you start out thinner, if you start at a thinner layer, it feels like it's going to collapse on itself. I don't know. I don't think it does as good a job. You shouldn't really go much higher than the 0.25 though. I wouldn't, 0.25, I wouldn't go much higher than that. Okay, now, parameters, spiral base. If you decide you want to make a vase, you can click that spiral base mode, and it makes it easier to do vase or vase, however you pronounce it. It makes it easier. You can just go into vase mode. Now, side layers, that's going to be the amount of layers on the top, and 6 is going to be the amount. That's how many layers that's going to be in your print. Minimum shelf thickness, you can keep it 0. Ensure vertical shelf thickness. The computer and the G code detects that out, so you don't have to mess with this stuff either. Seam position needs to be nearest. If you do, actually you could do random, but I have never seen a problem with Prusa like you do with Cura, where you have a seam right down the middle of your parts. So even if it's on a part, like, let me grab one of these and I'll show you the seam. Shep did a video on it. Let's see. You see there's a seam right there. It's right there. Prusa doesn't really have that in their parts, so I wouldn't worry about messing with that either. I'm just trying to save you a headache. Your fill density, that's the same thing out there. And a lot of these are going to be on your front where you're slicing at. your 15% infill, your grid, you can change your grid pattern around, and it'll speed and slow down just however you want it. Like, I'm sure a honeycomb or a 3D honeycomb would make it stronger than a grid. So I mean, it's just basically up to how you want your, and it'll take longer too if it's making a 3D honeycomb compared to a grid. Now, top fill patterns rectangular. You can do the same thing. You can change that around too. I keep all mine basically set at what they have it set at, because every print I have looks good. I mean, I'm gonna move this, bear with me. This is the Spider-Man I printed on. I'm printing right now on there with the Prusa slicer. It's immaculate, so I mean, it looks really good. So that's why I'm saying you don't have to mess with the stuff. Now it's gonna not wanna sit back right for me. I shouldn't mess with it. Okay. If it falls, I'm sorry. Okay. Now, down to combine infill. You don't need to mess with that. Your layers are fine. Your infill layers. Fill angle. If you have to have an infill or it's gonna be 45% or 45 degrees. If you need like infill or a support, it's going to make you at 45 degrees. Now we're back to the platter. There are a few things I want to show you out here. Let's see, can I do it with this? I might be able to. Let me show you. Look at that. You can click on the part itself. It brings up add instance, set number of instances, delete, printable, reload from disk, export. So you can make this, send it back to just say like Cura. Fix through NetFab. If you get a part and it's got a hole in it or something, you can right click and it'll fix it. But what I'm wanting to show you is the support enforcer. Okay, so you're gonna click on the support enforcer, because this takes away a lot of headaches when it comes to your supports when you're making when you're creating. Here, let me take this off of there and bring on, let's say, import. Let's see if I can do Darth Vader. It'll bring him on there. It'll probably be a pain in the neck since I'm trying to show you something. Okay. Open. Okay. So it's going to put him on there. Let it load him. Alright, you see how Vader's on there? Okay. So, you see how his head's sticking up off the plate? Alright. So you're going to need supports for his head. This is going to be the best way to print that. That's why they already have it laying down like that. So you're going to want to generate supports, but you're not going to want to generate supports up here. So what I would do is go ahead and click wait, hold on. Support and forces on. No, we don't need to do forces. We need to do everywhere. Now let me show you this. Well, first of all, I need to click on it. Add support enforcer box. Okay, so you're gonna want to hit move, raise him up. Now you can slide him around. Now I'm just using this as an example. So you got your block. Let's see, scale it out. Let's make it bigger. Let's say right here. Oh shoot. Okay, let me move it a little bit more. I need to go up a little bit. Okay. So now scale it. Not you, Darth. Alright, so we're going to scale that all the way through like that. So that's your box. Now, I'm going to show you a trick. Hold on, I got this all messed up. I'm gonna trash that one. Oh shoot, it trashed the whole thing. I'm sorry guys, bear with me because it's important that you see this. I didn't mean to hit that. I thought it would just take away the, okay. Let me right click you. Support blocker, that's what I wanted to do. I didn't mean support before. You can add supports and take away supports, I'm sorry. This is a support blocker. If you don't want the mess of your support going all the way down and up when you hit everywhere, that will block the support. Let's enlarge it. And take it out. Why is it not out? Out. That's the way I've been wanting to do. Okay. I don't need it that tall. Not you, dark. Just the box. Okay. So that's going to go through there. So then when you go to slice now, give it a second. Hopefully, let's just keep our fingers crossed that it does what I'm wanting it to do and don't tell me it ain't going to work. Come on, buddy. Come on. Sometimes it's a pain. It'll tell you, no, RAM, not enough RAM. It's okay. It kept the support bracers from going anywhere but right here. Now, let me click on it. See, there's supports in there. Well, where I had that's everywhere. That's where it's going to be. But when the print comes out, that box that was going through there knocked out some of the supports. So you're not going to have that big mess of supports. So that's a way to not have to fight so many supports if you don't think it needs it somewhere. That is an important use of this. Now, another thing you can do, let me, come here, dark. Alright, let's quit, no. Yeah, here, well, no, I don't want to do that. Let's do edit. No. Edit. Delete all. Yes. Okay. So, we're going to bring Darth back in. And alright. Let's see here. Come on, buddy. Are you kidding? Bring him on there. It's going to slice, and I might have to exit out to get it to do what I'm wanting to show you guys. Hurry up. Okay. When I showed you guys the support blocker, you see how it's not as bad in there? There's a lot more up in there. When I put the support blocker in, it took all of that off the side and edges, so you just had. Now, let's see here. I'm going to have to exit out to show you what I want to show you. And I'm sorry, bear with me. Just give me just a second. I'm sorry that it did that. It's not going to, I don't know why that won't let you clear it after you slice it. It makes you go all the way out and start all over. Okay, so now we're going to do this again. We're going to go import. I wish I had it was on my other computer, but my daughter's asleep in there and I don't want to wake her up talking loud. Okay, so he's back on there now. Alright, what we want to do is say you want to add support somewhere. You right click somewhere that it didn't give it, when you did it the first time, it didn't give it to you. I'm not going to go through and do it all because then we'll have to, it won't let me pull it back off, but it's called Add Support Enforcer. If you want to add a support enforcer, say you put it all in and it's all right there, but you want some more right here. Let me show you. I'll just do it so you can see it. Okay. Do a motion to me. I'm gonna do it again. Where are you putting that at? Let me spin this around. Oh, there they are. Okay. I'm going to delete this one. Okay. So, say there is not but you need it. It's not there, but you need it. So and I'm trying to do this as fast as I can because I don't want to take nobody's time up. But okay, so say you need it, but it's not there. You're going to want to move that over to right there. Then scale it. So you want to pull that down. Hold on. That's the wrong one. I'm not wanting to do you. I'm wanting to do that one. He's not listening to me. Okay. So say you want to support to go all the way down. Now you got to support right through there. Usually the support only goes to right here, underneath and up in the mast. So now you're going to slice it, bearing with me that it's going to do what I want, and it's probably going to make me look silly because I do it all the time, but now it's going to make me look silly. But that's how you add a modifier to put all your. Of course, it don't even have supports on there. Wow. Of course you did. Here, I'm gonna wait. Okay, it's gonna have to reslice it to add that support in there. I forgot I went out and went back in. I'm sorry. If they could teach me how to use this, anybody can learn how to use it because I'm the most computer illiterate person in the USA. Okay, now you guys see how I moved that over? It's almost done. It was only going to right there originally. Right under that 40-degree angle. Now, it's all the way, it got its whole head lifted up. You see how it's got its whole head lifted up in there? It's got everything supported. I wouldn't suggest using that much support, but you can. Only the thing about that is you can add support where you want it at. So say you got a person standing there, you can put support under their hands. When you get supports in between their legs, it's kind of iffy, so you could add a support behind their butt, just so that it's always touching, you know what I'm saying? Because anywhere there's a place where it's not touching, the printer can't print there. There's no part, the printer will just start messing up. So it can't print where there's not a part. That's why there's supports generated over here, because that part's touching the build plate. That up there is not touching the build plate. Okay, so now I wanted to show you something else. This is how much filament you use. You use 25.00 millimeters in the filament. Or meters, I'm sorry. That's the millimeter. That's used filament in millimeters. That's the used filament in meters. Down here it tells how much, so if you're selling your prints, like I did another episode about selling your items and how to do it, this you incorporate in your price. So if that Darth Vader Cost $1.49 to make. You at least want to sell it for $5. That way you at least make, I'm just using an example. You can sell it for $30 if you want. I'm just using an example. But you want to make sure your $1.49 is in there so you can get the filament back that it costs to make. That's a very good part. Now, right here, any actions you take in the print, it listed over here. So, and then it's got the pull down. It shows it all. Now, right here is another thing I want to show you for in this video. 80. This will break it down slowly, all the way down. It'll take it all the way down to where it starts on the bed. Now, say you get to right here, and you say you got like a palette or some way to change colors, like a dual extruder. You can click this plus sign. Now from there, it'll print it a different color. Now let's see. I think you can do even more than that. Click it again. Yes. So you see, you can change your colors if you got dual extruders, or so that's a good thing Prusa put in here. It's actually an excellent thing because that way you can use, the mosaic palette. I think that's how you say it, or or you got dual extruders. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it for me on the Prusa slicer how-to video. I wanted to show you guys something real quick. I wanted to show you my Darth Vader, and I wanted to show you this camera. I'm going to be giving this camera away to one of the first 15 subscribers. I'll put your names in a hat, and I'll send you the gift. So go ahead and subscribe so you can win this. I got this to do a review on. I need some subscribers to start subscribing, so please hit the subscribe and like button, and it'll be yours to... I'm sure somebody always needs an action camera to record their stuff, so go ahead and hit the button. It's got all the parts. I threw a micro SD chip in there, so you got everything you need to get going making vlogs or YouTube videos. Okay, I wanted to show you mine real quick. I wanted to show you my Vader that I'm making. You can see my supports in there. Under the back, there's supports holding this whole head up. There's supports in here, but I used the blocker to take some of the supports out so it wouldn't be as bad. Now, that's the PO Blade Plus. I talked to the Amazon store that has this. The Amazon store that sells this filament. I have never used them before until last week. I bought some, let's see if I can get it without taking you guys off the shot. Squeeze back in here. I'm gonna keep you out here so you don't have to see. Okay, so I bought this from them. This place is called Yusu. They have amazing filament. I mean, I gave them a review on Amazon. I love it. I mean, by the texture of it, your extruder pulls it good. It's just a good all around. I mean, here's the prints I made with this filament. It's just a good filament. This is the PLA Plus filament I'm using. So, I mean, it's just good all around filament. I told the lady, she asked if I needed any to make this video. The sales rep at Yusu, I think her name's Selena, she's a very nice lady, asked me if I needed any filament or anything to make my YouTube video. I'm going to be dedicating a whole episode to their filaments, because they got a nice line of pearlescent, like that blue. They got green, they got orange, they got gold, and it's beautiful. And some of the stuff you can make with it. So kind of hang in there, and maybe you guys can watch it and pick up some from Amazon. It's a great filament, though. I wouldn't recommend it. if it was not a good filament, because I have bought some bad filaments that gunk and it doesn't turn out good. So, all right, guys, well, it's Danny here. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button so I can give you guys that camera. All right, thanks. Have a nice one.